Hello class, and welcome to the how-to video for A5.1. So assignment 5.1, and we can see the title of it is a change of color. And you're going to be making a lot of changes today to the CSS styling, so cascading style sheets, to your HTML files on your website. So again, with each assignment, you are taking that website we were working on and changing it, making it better, adding more to it. So if you look at the instructions, I'm not going to put them up on the screen to make it easier for you to view the HTML in this video, so I actually have it over separate somewhere else. But if you want, you can open up the instructions in another part of the screen. But otherwise, the first part is we need to duplicate our assignment from last time. So assignment 4.1, we need to make a copy. So I go to my folder. Over here, I have A4.1 right here, and I need to make a copy of it. So I'm going to copy, then I'm going to choose paste, and it says here to change the name of the file to A5.1 and your last name. So I'm going to do that right now. A5.1, your last name. And then it says double check the navigation. Make sure that all three HTML documents have the ID attribute with the value of nav applied to the opening UL tag. And we'll look at that here very quickly. So basically what it is when we work with the cascading style sheets, the CSS file, for our website, we need to make sure that all the links of course work. And I've gone through and checked it already. But also you need to make sure when we get to the div ID with all your links that it actually says, the UL ID nav. So you can see ID nav right here, and this is my css.html file. And then if I want to check the other files, I can choose HTML. Let me make it bigger for you to see it. Right down here, so I have style, head, body, H1 and 2, and then UL ID nav. So check right above your links and make sure that the nav part is there, and also make sure your links correct as well. You could open up the HTML files and click on the links, or you can also double check in here. Some of you, when I graded your files, you lost points because the links didn't show up properly because you didn't code it properly. So make sure you're taking the time to double check your assignments before you submit it, and you'll see it in the instructions later on. Alright, so we've double checked those files. I'm going to exit out of them. The next thing it says for us to do is to create a CSS folder and document. So I'm going to go to my File Explorer down here. Here's my folder, which is visible. Within your assignment 5.1 last name folder, create a new folder and name it CSS. So I'm going to click New Folder, CSS, press Enter, and it makes it just like that. And then it says open your text editor. I already got it open. Create a new document and save this document. So I'm going to do that right now as site.css, and it needs to be in my folder. So A5.1 Rogers CSS. Yours of course will be named differently, site.css, and then save right here. So make sure you name it this, make sure it's in the right folder you just created one, and click save. And that says stop and check. Make sure that your folder looks a lot like this. You should have a CSS folder, an images folder inside of your assignment folder. We've got those in the CSS folder. We should see site.css. It's right here. Inside of images folder, there should be the picture of you and the CSS syntax. So here's a picture of me, CSS syntax. And then I should have these three HTML files. And then I have the link file here. You don't necessarily have to have that for this assignment. Alright, now let's move on to the next part, working with CSS. In this, in the site.css document, you need to add the following rules. And we're going to be adding a lot of CSS encoding to this file. So hopefully you remember it. I'll kind of explain it as we go. And it says, first off, add a rule that has a body selector with the following declarations. So for body selector, I have to just type in body, space, curly bracket, enter, and I could type it in. I need to put in for my decoration background color colon space, and then it says should be gray with a value of CCCCCCC. So I'm just going to put that in 6 C's, and then I'll put that the semicolon, and then it says here for body the font family should, oh excuse me, I'm not going to type it in. Font family should be set to Helvetica, Arial, Sans, Serif, and you can see how I type that in right here. So make sure you have that in your file. That is very important. And then it says here all text heading levels H1 through H6 should have a font family of Georgia and Serif. Note you need to use the combination selector, comma, for the text header. So what this means is I type in H1, comma, H2, comma, H3, comma, H4, comma, H5, comma, and H6. Curly bracket, enter, just like that. And then the next thing it says is we need to change it to say font family, Georgia, serif. So I'm going to type that in. Oh, excuse me, I forgot my font family. So font family, Georgia, if I can spell Georgia, serif, and semicolon. But I need to get rid of this. I accidentally typed a semicolon here. So Georgia and serif. So it should look just like that inside of your CSS page. And then we're moving along here to the next one. It says all P and LI, so paragraph and list selectors, should have a line height of 1.25 m, which we learned about in our last chapter. So I'm going to put in P, comma, LI, curly bracket, enter, line height, colon, 1.25 m, semicolon. Make sure there isn't a space here. It's very important. You don't want space in between your values, so the number and the unit in there. So you want to make sure there's no space there. So that's to both of them. And then it says here, under that, the paragraph selector that has a child EM selector, or M selector, excuse me, should have a font weight of bold. Now remember, with our child selector, we have to put it in with a greater than or less than sign. So I put paragraph, and I put then greater than sign, and I put down M, and I'm going to put in the curly brackets, enter, font weight bold. So you can see right now, a lot of these selectors, I'm just typing in the code letter for it. Where later on, we're going to be using the ID selector, actually here just a moment. And so you want to make sure you do that. Now it says right after that, we're adding a lot of CSS here. Set the UL selector with ID, so that's the number sign, of nav. So this is it's a UL selector, but we went and put the ID in for nav here. So I'm going to type in number sign nav and choose to type in curly brackets, enter, background color value of number sign DDD DDD. So 6 of them, semicolon. I'm going to save that. So make sure you type in that in. Make sure you're double checking that it looks like mine on the video. So I zoomed in, so hopefully you can see it pretty well for those of you that are watching the video using it as a guide. So make sure you have that in before we move on. Alright, now next we're going to be delving into coloring the links in your files. So it says here, we need to use the A selector, which is just referring to the link. So A anchor. So styling anchor elements in your instructions. So it says set the A selector to, I'm going to put in brackets, enter, and I'm going to put in color because that's actually what I'm referring. This is referring to. It's a color, and it says $008 B14. Make sure you don't get these parts colors messed up because it's very easy to do in this part. So it said set the A selector to that. I did that. Next, it says A selector with a pseudo of link. So I have A and then colon link space curly bracket, enter, and then I'm going to type in $008 B14. And then, oh, I forgot to type in the word color before that, so color, colon, saving the file, there you go, right there. So A link looks just like that. After that, I'm going to type in A, and it says here, set a selector with a pseudo visited. So visited, curly brackets, enter. I'm going to type in color because that's what we're dealing with right here. And it says to put, for visited, $649A00, semicolon, just like that. So A visited color, colon, $649A00. And then after the visited one, it says set another A selector with the pseudo hover, so colon, hover, curly bracket, enter. I'm going to put in $00638B, semicolon, and of course I forgot to type color again. So make sure you type in color, colon, and then that number right there so you can see how it's supposed to look right here. Make sure you're saving as you are going through this as well. Double check it. So you want to make sure you're putting all the colons and semicolons in here as well. So you'll notice, and you want to go back and check too, right here for nav background color, I actually put down a semicolon instead of a colon. So make sure you check that. And I was able to see that because of the whole syntax thing right here. And if I go through, check it, great, it's all good. Alright, so I'll come back down here and let's continue with the assignment. We took care of hover. Now set another A selector with the pseudo active. Type it in there, curly bracket, enter, color, colon, make sure you get that in there, number sign, 008B14, semicolon. Type that in for active, and then set another A selector, we're almost done, with focus. So pseudo focus, curly bracket, enter, and then we're going to type in color, number sign, 00638B. Now you notice we're using the hex colors for this. And the reason is it gives you a lot more variety of what you can choose than just using basic color names, and you can be much more specific. So that's why we're doing it. So we've just finished putting in all those different styling anchor elements, and then also the styling for other stuff. Now we need to go into our files here. It says, and in the css.html document, so let's open that up right now. So I'm going to go to that, open css.html document. It says delete the style element and the code changing the H2 to color orange. So I'm going to do that. So right up here at the top, right under the title, I'm going to get rid of all of this right here. And I can leave that blank right there. So I'm going to save it. And that says in the html.html document, so let's open that up right now. So html.html, I'll zoom in so you can see it. And it says what I need to do is don't, in the html.html document, move, don't simply copy but cut. So move only the CSS into the site.css file, but not the style element. Remember to delete the style element. So basically what it's telling me to do is this. I gotta get rid of this style element right here, that tag. I'm gonna get rid of this one right here. And then I need to cut this information right here. Okay, so in case you didn't see it as well, get rid of this line, the line that was just under here, and then I'm gonna cut this right here. So I selected it, cut, and it says to move it into our CSS file that we're working on. So site.css. I'm gonna just put it right up here at the top. Get rid of the indent on it. And there we go, that's how it's supposed to look right there. I'll save the file. So your two files now should not have the style element, and the CSS should be out of it. So hopefully you took care of that just now. I'm going to zoom in here on that file as well for you so you can see it. Linking the style sheet. In order for our CSS, all the stuff we just worked on, we got to make sure we actually link to it in the HTML file. So last thing is to check to see if we can link our external style sheet to our HTML documents. Using the link element after the title element of each HTML document, so CSS, we got that open, HTML.html and index.html. So I'm going to open up index right now. Let's zoom in here. Alright, so let me read that again. After the title element in each HTML document, these three, CSS, HTML, index, place a link element that finds your site.css document in the CSS folder. So I'm going to show you the element we need to add in, the link element right here. So make sure you're under the title. I would indent it so it's in line with your title element as well. And we'll start by typing in link. And then this one now is a little bit different because it doesn't have the closing one as well. So I'm going to type in link space REL. So it's we're telling how it's related to the document. Style sheet, or excuse me, quotation marks, and then style sheet, and then space href space, or excuse me, equal sign CSS slash site.css, and then make sure you close the tag as well. So you need to put this in right here that I just typed: link, relation, style sheet, href, CSS, site.css. Remember, this is telling it which folder it's in, and then slash, and this tells it what the file name is, and then save. Now I'm going to just go copy what I typed and put it in to the other files. Except, oh, before I do that, I forgot one little thing here in the middle. I need to put type equals sign text slash CSS quotation marks here. So put that in the middle there very quickly. This just helps further describe it. And then copy it. So I'm going to give you a second to look here to add that in. So type text slash CSS. And I'm going to put that in here to all my other ones. And I would indent it so it's with title. Save it. And then same thing here. I'm going to enter. Put this in. Each one. So you can see each HTML file now. I've put in my link, relation, this here. So it should look just like this. If it doesn't appear correctly, make sure your CSS, you have it in here correctly. Colon for this first part, and the declaration, and the semicolon in the end part. Make sure you double check that. Look to see as well up here at the top for syntax. It'll tell you if you put something in wrong. So I saved it, and then it says here in my instructions, I'm going to bring those up. Test your website. Did it work? So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go to my folder, choose index, and you will be able to see if it actually did work. Your page is going to look very different. Makes it look a lot nicer. You can see with the navigation it changed the background fill, and then also all our links are changed to green unless I hover over them. It changes it, and when I click on it, it's also blue as well. And if it's visited, you'll notice it gives it a slightly different green color too, because the HTML is now different because I visited it. And your pages should all look like this. So there's screenshots he has for his, but I want you to go through, double check, make sure all the links work, make sure it changed in it. So I tested it out. Next, what I need to do is submit it. So first off, you need to upload it to your web server. So I'm going to go to web host. Now when we do this, it talks about uploading it to the web server. Basically you're going to delete the past files you had and replace them with your new ones. So I'm going to do that right now. Log in. You should already have an account. It's already should have been verified. You already should have sent me the link as well to your files, because you're going to submit the zip file to me for this assignment, but also you're going to actually give me the link as well. Don't worry about the survey. We're going to click on File Manager to manage our website. So File Manager. You can see it's loading, and then I'm going to click on Upload Files Now. So I logged in, File Manager, Upload Files Now. This is going to take us to the actual File Manager website. And here's what I'm going to do. Make sure you finish and you have these files before you delete from your account, okay? You want your index folder to basically be your assignment folder, your images folder to look the same, and then of course CSS. So I'm going to get rid of these 3 HTML files. This is just something else I have different, separate project for school, and I'm going to click on all those. I could select them a number of ways. I could, you can click and drag for some. For me, I usually just click and then hold on the control button and select different files, and then I'm going to delete these. Yes, delete them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on images. Oh yeah, I got double click. And here I can actually leave these pictures here because it doesn't matter. It uses the same pictures. I do need to add a folder because I got to put in CSS and create it because I'm mimicking what is in there. So I got rid of my HTML files. I added the CSS folder. Let's add that CSS file here. And all I need to do is open it up inside of my file manager, then go to it in here. And I should be able to just click and drag it into the website. And it'll ask me, do you want to upload selected files? And I will say yes. Upload them. And so site.css is in there. And then I need to upload my HTML files. So I'm going to go back here to the main folder, select all 3, and then I'm going to click and drag and drop them in here. And upload. And then here you can see I have all the stuff I needed in here, and so I can go to my actual website to see an example, to see if it actually uploaded it or not. And yes, it did. So it's here, it's displaying correctly. So you need to upload it just like how I did. And it should just look like this. All the links should work. You need to double check and make sure everything works before you send it. I had multiple students who sent the files to me or just sent me the link and did not check to make sure it works. So I couldn't grade your whole thing because you didn't make sure it worked. Of course, this is going to be displayed down here because it's free. It's very nice of 00 web host to let us use their app. So you're going to upload it here, which we just did, and then also you need to go to the file manager or file explorer down here, excuse me. Go outside of the folder to where I can see my assignment folder. Make sure it's named this, and then make sure you zip the file. So I can choose share and zip like this, and just keep it the same name. Works just fine right there. And then I would just go and email this to myself. Excuse me, you will email this to me. Make sure you follow the submission guidelines. And of course, make sure you read the instructions. It says include the link to the website in the email body. And also double click all of your websites and make sure they actually work before sending it to me. Okay, so make sure you do all of those things before you send it to me. But that's how you complete the exercise, or I should say the assignment, not exercise. I hope this was helpful to you. If you need to go back and look at it, do that. We're going to be delving a lot more into dealing with the styling of website pages and getting more in depth with coding. You're going to want to remember this information. Now, I don't force you to memorize it, but you want to make sure it sticks in your head, or at least that you know how to use your textbook. Don't be afraid to use your textbook if you don't understand something. If you search for it in the Kindle app, it usually will bring up what you're looking at. So make sure you submit this file, and then of course move on to the next thing you need to complete in this class, which should be the next chapter in your textbook. Have a good day.